Alrighty tighty folks, back in the Arizona recordings because I need to get this stuff out. Today is looking at some repairs that we did to a Buick Lucerne. I'm really not a big fan of these cars. These things are just very, very poorly designed, and I really didn't want to be doing anything to it, so I tried to get the job done quickly. The complaint was a funny noise while driving. So we get in it, we start it up, and the first thing we hear is this really terrible kind of whirring, grinding noise. Sounded like a bearing to me. So the first thing we did is we checked the transmission fluid to see if it was coming out of the transmission. Transmission fluid seemed okay. Not terrible, not great. The next thing we did was, well, remove the belt to see if something on the belt was making a noise. The belt was a little cracked, but not too terrible, so we kept it. And after removing the belt, we started the engine, and we had no noise. The noise was gone. Since removing the belt made the noise go away, obviously the issue was something tied to the belt. After removing the belt, I did a couple of other cursory inspections of various parts, checking the oil, checking the motor mounts, the transmission mount, checking the struts and the brakes and what have you, just cursory inspection from the top. And everything seemed to be pretty much in order. That was me shaking my head because the transmission fluid smelled a little burnt and gross, but not metal shavings and chunky bits. So you can see there it's kind of dark-ish, and that's not what we like to see really. It really needs a transmission service, but that is not today's job. Today's job is figure out what the noise is. The owner of the vehicle is on a fixed income, so simply doing all of the maintenance that has been neglected for the last 5 or 6 years is not currently feasible. I did give them a list. Most of the stuff the car needed was just basic maintenance, transmission service. One of the rear brakes was dragging, so the caliper needs replaced. The tie rods were bad, inner and outer, so there was a little bit of play in the steering. Stuff like that, just normal wear and tear, not much of a huge deal. After having removed the belt, and I wish I got audio of it for you guys, I don't know why I didn't. I think it was because there was a bunch of other noise at the shop, so like it was not really feasible to get isolated sounds off of cars at the shop in Arizona, even you could see at night, because there were just so many other sounds going on. My microphone's, it's a shotgun mic, it's sort of directional, but it's not super directional. I keep meaning to print a reflector for the mic so that I can do kind of higher directional stuff. Words elude me today. You can see here we've got the mechanic stethoscope, which is actually the one that I recommended he buy years and years and years ago that he has never used. The last person to use it was me in like 2014 or something, like a long time ago. It's really funny. So the way that you check and figure out what's making the noise is you place the stethoscope end on your device in question and you attempt to interact with it. You spin it, you wiggle it, you jiggle it, you thunk it, you bunk it, you honk it. Whatever you need to do to try to simulate operations and make the noise in question occur. Come to find out, interestingly, this is fairly unusual actually, even for GM products, which we all know my thoughts on that by this point. Both the alternator front bearing and the serpentine belt idler pulley bearing had failed simultaneously, which I'm sure they had been failing for some time and had been making a growing and growing noise that the owners finally simply just got tired of and wanted to get rid of. But it was interesting to me that both of them had failed, and both of them were at about the same, amount of drag, I guess you would say. They seem to have failed identically, which is very unusual. It's not something that is totally out of the question. Obviously, any two devices can fail simultaneously in the same manner at any point. Statistically, in the universe, it has to happen at least once. It's just interesting that it happened and I saw it, is all. With 8.25 billion humans on the planet, this one came to me. It was neat. To 100% completely and totally verify that the noise was coming from these parts that I heard in the stethoscope, which the stethoscope is pretty good at telling you what's going on. But I just wanted to discount double check, because I always discount double check, because you never know. Sometimes your brain doesn't do the smarty brain thing, and it doesn't work right. So I put the belt back on and started the engine to verify that the noise came back with the belt and that I hadn't simply touched something else or moved something off of something else and made the sound go away by accident. And you can see there, it probably took me a good 10 minutes to figure out how the heck the belt was supposed to route. So, once we verified, we ordered the parts, and of course it's the next day because the parts weren't in town and they had to get shipped from Tucson, which means that that wasn't going to happen until the next morning. So we come back the next day, midday. I think it was around 1400 or so when I was doing this. And we replaced... Well, okay, so hold on a minute. We began replacing the serpentine belt idler pulley. You can see there, I turned it the wrong way the first time, left-hand thread, if I remember right. So we pulled the pulley off, and then we pulled the alternator and replaced the alternator. And then we tried to put the pulley back on. Well, the pulley they gave me in the box was the wrong pulley. The box had handwriting on it, had a number scratched out and some handwriting on it with a different number. And it was not the right pulley. I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know where it happened. I don't know if it was a store or a warehouse or a distribution hub, or I don't know. But they sent the wrong part in the wrong box. Suffice it to say, I was moderately irritated. You can see there I was using a test light just to discount double check again. Discount double check, discount quadruple check if you have to. I wanted to make sure there was no power at the alternator when I was pulling it off, because there is metal nearby that is very likely battery ground or chassis ground or engine ground, which are all tied together, and you do not want those wires falling down onto grounded parts. That will be a very unhappy, sad cry day for everybody involved. The technician, the customer, the puppers that were sitting over in the shade nearby. Everybody would have a very, very not good time if the power wire is still hot and falls against ground. Luckily, the alternators on these engines, 3.8 if I remember right, Buick Lucerne. Yeah, it should be the 3.8 GM, non-supercharged, because it's a luxury car, big, giant, humongous, quote-unquote luxury car. Alternator is 3 bolts that one of the bolts could have very easily been somewhere else and not where it was, because where it was quite not smart. Anyway, that's beside the point. Replacing the alternator, super easy. 3 bolts, 2 on the top, 1 on the side. Connector for the voltage regulator in the back, which is a poppy clip. And then the wire for the power cable in the back, which is a... I don't remember. If I had to guess, either a 10 mil or a 13 mil socket, wrench, nut, whatever you wish to call it. But power wire, 3 bolts, and a plug, and Bob's your uncle. Once we get the alternator installed, we go back to the idler pulley, which we will see here in just a moment. And again, somebody screwed up. But luckily, I know the guys at the parts store. I spent a lot of time in this town. I spent 13, 14 years in this town, mostly working on cars for the primary brunt of that time. I know the guys at the parts stores. People don't really move around in jobs in this town. They find a job that works for them, and that's what you're doing probably for the rest of your life if you stay in Sierra Vista, Arizona. It's one of those black hole towns that you go there and you can't really ever get back out of outside of very, very specific sets of circumstances. So it's been 5 years since I left, and I go back, and 2 people are different, but everybody else is the same at the parts stores. So I know the people at the parts stores. So we were able to get it replaced. We called Tucson, warrantied it out because it was clear that I didn't install it. You can see the issue is that the little washer does not fit on the face of the pulley at all. The pulley was not even close to the right shape. Like, it was so radically wrong that it wasn't even funny. But it was about an hour and a half later when the truck from Tucson, the next truck from Tucson came down. We were able to get the right part on that truck. Easy peasy. You can see I have the camera there, and I didn't even use any of that footage because it was bad. It was very bad. But putting the pulley on, you can see from this footage, fairly simple. Put the power cable back on, and we're going to double check and make sure we've got power at the alternator on the power cable so that we know that it will function correctly. And of course, being the very bright of day, the camera actually does pick up the red light. Okay, ignore me. I didn't say anything. Nothing. I said nothing. It's fine. We saw the red light. It came on. I like that test light for the simple fact that it has an alarm. Whenever you get power, it just goes beep. I like it. I dig it. I think it's cool. There's also what somebody probably would have diagnosed as a valve cover leak, but is in fact somebody not knowing how to use a funnel and spilling oil all over the plastic cover and the valve cover and the exhaust and the side of the block and the, well, subframe, because they don't know how to use a funnel. Whenever you're pouring oil, use a funnel. If you spill it, clean it up, especially on a customer's car. Also, let's not talk about how poorly secured that plastic cover is and that it probably creates more noise than it actually baffles, as is its design. We're not talking about that. We're talking about that the job's a good one. After we did that, we hooked the scanner up and we were just, again, going through, doing inspections, and we found out that neither of the O2 sensors were responding at all. They were doing nothing at all. They were stuck at a value, which, again, both O2 sensors simultaneously failing. Curious. But they were cheap enough. I think they were $40 a piece, which is just standard O2 sensor prices. It's not really all that often you get O2 sensors that are more than $50 or $60. When you do, they're usually widebands, or they're some special connector that's hard to find, or I don't know, they're BMW parts, which would be widebands, but BMW O2 sensors I've seen are $300 for some of them. Like, what? It's a freaking O2 sensor, guy. Come on. What's wrong with you, huh? The Upstream O2 sensor is not terribly difficult. It's in a slightly annoying spot. Honestly, it would have been simpler if they had put it 6 inches further down the pipe and put it a little bit on the side of the pipe instead of mostly straight up like this one is. Simply because you could just get underneath the car and do it from underneath with zero interference from the engine. But they didn't. They put it right at the back side of the collector, which honestly is where you mostly want it. The problem with being directly on the collector is you don't truly get a reading of what the engine is doing, because you have a long pipe and a short pipe from the heads, so you're getting a delayed response from the front bank of cylinders, which I believe is the even cylinders. I could be wrong. If I remember right, GM's fronts are evens. It's GM. You don't expect it to be designed correctly. If they had designed it correctly, they would have done it a completely different way, and I wouldn't be bitching about it. Not the point. The point is, the O2 sensor replacement job is not terrible, but the O2 sensor connector is. Because the O2 sensor is the side that clips to the bracket, not the body side of the harness. When you're designing these things, you design it such that the body side stays connected to the body and the sensor side comes with the sensor. Also, let's not talk about these stupid Delphi safety clippy frickin' connector things. They're just junk. They're terrible, they're horrible, and they're junk. Let's also not talk about this giant aluminum cover, whose sole purpose appears to be to run a single O2 sensor cable about a third of the way down the tray's length and have 2/3 of the length of the tray that does nothing. It is empty and serves no purpose. Perhaps it's for something on a different model. I don't know. Why would it dump out right here beside the pipe? That's just pipe. What possible reason could you have for this? Also, why is it riveted to the body? Bolts. Have you people ever heard of bolts? GM. They do this to their window regulators also. They rivet them to the doors. No. GM, stop it. You people are not good. You are not smart. This is not clever. It is more difficult than it needs to be. And instead of drilling out the rivets, I ended up just twisting the tray the tiniest little amount. And you can wiggle the wire out up to a point where you can pull the connector out of a bigger hole and remove it easily. I have no idea why this sensor is sitting horizontally. That is bad. You do not put an O2 sensor horizontal in a pipe. You especially do not put it horizontal in a pipe segment that is lower than the rest of the system. I know why the O2 sensor failed. The O2 sensor failed because it is horizontal at the lowest point of the system, and it collected moisture inside the body, causing it to corrode or become damaged inside. That's why it failed. This is easily one of the stupidest placements of an O2 sensor on an OEM vehicle I think I have ever seen. And again, we're not talking about these thumb-splitting, don't actually secure, terrible, 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 terrible Delphi connectors. For anybody who's aspiring to design a car, or do anything to your car, do not ever purchase, use, utilize, find, source, or otherwise humor the idea of a Delphi connector. I believe 100% in my nether regions that Delphi has conspired for the last 100 years to make the absolutely worst electrical connectors our planet has ever seen. And I've dealt with Bosch and Siemens and Sumitomo and Yakazi and Tyco and Amp and Molex and I had another manufacturer in my name and I can't remember what. Nope, it's gone. It's gone. I've dealt with dozens of different connector manufacturers and Delphi is the worst. And here now we see the rivets, finally. That'll be it for this video. Actually, I'm done ranting. If you liked it, don't forget to like it, subscribe it, crank it, and rip it. And we will see you in the next one.